Hello everybody, this is Coach TC back with another video here. I'm going to do a full roster recap for you guys here. For Season 10, I know we were away for about 2 or 3 weeks because of the holiday, but we are back better than ever. Season 10, as you can see by our logo, Clemson won Season 9 in a crazy game versus Ohio State, and DJU took over the logo and the color scheme for Season 10. If you are new to the SFA, I encourage you to check out our history sheets. That'll get you fully up to speed. We also just introduced this scoregami tracker, which tracks all 5,200 games that have ever been played in the SFA, all the scores, unique scores, everything there for you. And then if you care more about like the storylines and what makes college football, head to our history sheet here, and down here I added a written out kind of storybook of what's gone on in each season, which is fully updated to this point. First thing I want to go over, though, obviously, is the coaching carousel. That's always the first step of the offseason. Honestly, there was nothing that we were really going into it scared about or worrying about. There was a few guys on the hot seat, Southern Miss, LSU, and Florida State, but we didn't really suspect anything was going to happen to them. So Southern Miss survived, LSU survived, and then Florida State survived. Now, this doesn't mean nobody changed teams. We always have a lot of users who are interested in hearing offers and moving up at schools. So first one is Coach McNasty. He made it very well known for a long time. He was leaving San Diego State this season, and he accepted an offer from his hometown team, Michigan State, and that's where he is going. Fink, who was at lowly Western Michigan, he actually decided to accept an offer from Kansas. So that is a big one, as well as he hopes to right the ship of his coaching woes at Kansas, when we'll talk about them a lot more a little later. Florida State, while he didn't get fired, he did decide to hear some offers from Kentucky, USF, Mississippi State, Wake Forest, and Coastal Carolina. But in the end, he decided to stay at FSU. And then Dogwater, coach of Memphis, who in year one took Memphis to the college football playoff, he heard some offers from Arizona, Florida, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Wake Forest, and he actually decided to shock the world and go to Arizona, which was a surprise job opening. They finished in the top 15, but their coach ended up leaving, so that is a huge pickup in recruiting budget and talent for Coach Dogwater. So that is huge for him, and that kind of shocked the entire server as well. But now we'll go to the transfer portal, where a lot more crazy stuff happened. And the first step is always players leaving. We had a ton of CPU players leave. Probably the most notable is Georgia quarterback Brock Vandegrift. He led that team to the semifinals, and if he stayed, probably would be raising a few national championships. And then also our Season 8 winner, Ohio State running back Travion Henderson, he decided to declare early as well. Some other notable guys, Seth Hennigod and Brandon Thomas and Greg Rubin of that Memphis team. You got Tanner McKee of Stanford, and Brock Bowers, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and LeJohntay Webster. He does lead the SFA in a ton of different receiving categories. Then it is on to SFA players to see where they decide to go. I am allowed to influence them. As you can see, all these juniors do decide to stay, except for OBJ. He's getting separated from Brett Huntley, and Marcus Mariota, one of the best players in SFA history, surely will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He actually decides to declare. Once all the declares are out of the way, then we go into the transfer portal and we see any SFA players who decided to take their talents elsewhere. First off is Cincinnati. Their wide receiver Shane Acho, he is leaving. He's 79 overall. Coastal Carolina, the freshman quarterback, redshirt Kyle White, he decides to leave, and he's looking for his fourth team in the SFA. He originally committed to Notre Dame, then he transferred to Western Michigan, who he then immediately transferred to Coastal Carolina, and now he's looking for another team. Western Michigan's tight end, Dan Katz, he's transferring. Iowa State's losing promising young receiver Pee Wee Hop. Arizona State's losing a reward player, Aqib Talib, 77 overall. And then Tennessee, a in-game recruit player. He's deciding to transfer. Eddie Dove didn't want to sit on the bench any longer. And so let's take a look, see where these guys go. I always kind of show off any non-graduating players leaving so you can kind of see who's going to the draft. So if you want to look at this, feel free to pause or go in slow mode. Take a look at these. And then finally we get to the tamper results. If you don't know what a tamper is, watch the SFA training camp videos to get up to speed on how everything works. But Tier 4, we only had one man, and it was Michigan State. He decided to take Aqib Talib for himself to rebuild at Michigan State. Myself, East Carolina, I decided to take Georgia's right guard, who is in the transfer portal. That's kind of how I'm trying to build up my line, is through the transfer portal. So this is my second one in 2 years, and I really like how this guy's looking. He has decent acceleration, good pass block and run block, and great strength. So excited about that. Arizona State, he decided to go after Jed Ford, a 73, but he progressed and now will be his starter. So he has a good bit of speed, some good throw power. Accuracy is a little less to be desired, but I expect Arizona State to have a good season. Or sorry, Arkansas State. Tier 2, Kansas, Coach Fink. He actually landed Eddie Dove, the running back from Tennessee, and look at that, 94 speed. A little bit lower awareness, but he can definitely move the ball if needed. So that is a big pickup for him. And then Tier 1, you kind of just get a random guy. So Minnesota got a little left end. They get to start developing here. You do like how he is a bit balanced at his pass rushing moves. And then LSU is able to get a receiver from Alabama. Unfortunately, he is very low ranked, so he's probably going to wind up just being a return guy at some point. After Tamper Tier 1 through 4, here is the rest of the SFA player transfer results. So Dan Katz went to Wisconsin. Pee Wee Hop went to Illinois. Kyle White actually joined Eddie Dove at Kansas, so Coach Fink, 2 SFA players being snagged immediately. And then Louisiana, they're getting a big-time wide receiver to pair up with Nidair Finley. Shane Nacho's coming to town. And then it's time for Tier 5 Tamper. This happened in the preseason, so these overalls are after progression results. But Florida State, he decided to get a big-time wide receiver. He's going for a national championship in Season 10. 92 overall, Mike Evans. He does have a little bit less speed, but you got to love the 99 awareness and the high 80s to 90s and everything else. Iowa State is just trying to shore up that defense any way they can. He's bringing in the best, a 99 or a very high-rated senior linebacker for 1 year. 99s galore here, Vinny Sinceri. And then Louisiana, he's getting someone to throw Shane Acho the ball. Daryl Jackson, who's been benched twice now at Illinois, decided he had it, entered the portal, and Louisiana picks him up. 96 speed. Not the best throw power, but some decent accuracy. And that kind of ends the transfer portal for the season. It was really a wild ride. Tamper's always the most fun part of the offseason for sure. But now we get to kind of recruiting updates. So obviously the in-game players, we always track them throughout the season. Donowitz to Notre Dame, our girl kicker to Louisiana. The big shocker is Sammy Baugh. He decided to end up going to ULM. He will start for them, which is kind of crazy. He was flirting with Alabama for a while. Loudermilk will start at Michigan. Speedy Gonzalez shocked Houston. Poor Skyflyer. Seemed like he was going there and he flip-flopped to TCU. EJ Irons going to QB Factory at Alabama. Lorenzo Pines is going to replace Brock Bowers. Benny Queen to Rutgers. Clemson, that's going to be a depth guy. Weedy Guido kind of decided Duke at last minute over Buffalo. And then Georgia Tech, he finally breaks through on a recruit, and he gets Fred Burtz, who's been battling for all season long. And then these are the top 5 decisions for CPU-generated guys. Iowa gets the top guy, who is actually a quarterback. And then Clemson, Oklahoma, Clemson. And then really the only 5-star shock is Arkansas State got a 5-star defensive end, which is kind of cool. Here's the top 10 classes. Michigan comes through. The only 3 users here is LSU, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. And then the bottom classes, Louisiana, yeah, they got a low class, but he got 2 SFA players in the portal, so he's sky high. You know, he doesn't really care about this right at that point. And then I go through everyone's actual players that they kind of secured. As you guys know, these are all the lower guys normally get edited into SFA players, and top guys are normally just depth. So I wouldn't read too much into these. If you want to take a look at, pause the video or kind of lower the speed so you can take a look. But all teams are here, and that number on the left is the class ranking. And then I have a full video here if you are in the server. Next up, we're going to go through roster progression. So obviously, with all those guys declaring, we ended up with kind of a lower rated classes or players this year. We only have 499 overalls. God's Power Offer is a SFA player, and same with Ryan Fitzpatrick out of Ole Miss. He's a BearCave reward guy. 99s galore there. Here are the top 10 players that round out. You see Teddy Bridgewater of Baylor and Eric Ebron of Baylor there. The highest progression you had Cincinnati's right tackle. He went up plus 11. Kansas State had a right end go up plus 11. Same thing with UNC DT plus 11. Miami, Ohio had a right tackle go up 10, which is kind of huge. And then Texas State, this isn't really going to matter, but plus 10 to a 40 overall, which is kind of crazy. And then we go to regression. Always seems to hit myself, but Texas A&M, he minus 5 to a receiver. Bob Pork, the SFA player, minus 5. Heath Robbins, minus 5. Orlando Moss, minus 6. One of my linemen. Ugh, that sucks. And then Cincinnati, fullback. This is just kind of for kicks and giggles. He goes down 8. And then I always kind of go through a bit of storylines or just kind of kooky things I kind of found. Plus 9 to a punter. Darren Williams went up plus 6. Chad Barber, he's up to a 77 now. Our 7-foot safety who can't jump and who made Team of the Year at Wyoming, he's up to a 92. And then talking about Daryl Jackson, he went down. PB Hop, who transferred there, ended up going down. San Diego State, the Garrett Grayson replacement, he goes down. Dogwater leaves Memphis, but their quarterback, Case McCoy, the SFA player, is finally going to get his starting chance as a redshirt senior. And then some storylines. Arizona State now has kind of a QB controversy. You can read the story on how I spun it. But he has declared Jordan McLeod as the starter at this point. And then Matt Barkley, he wasn't happy with Miami, so he's kind of making changes as a big time moneymaker and booster. So Mark Lou and Jerick McKinnon will start after they got blown out by Arizona of all teams in the bowl game. Then I kind of did some power rankings. You can look at these if you want. This is kind of just a fun way for me to interact with the server, obviously, and get a little more info out there for everybody. But Baylor is our team to beat, obviously. 4 straight CFPs, you're going to be number 1. Then I went through the top 10 at each position. Take a look at this if you'd like. Slow it down. But yeah, every position is represented here. And these are all returning players. And then we go into developer, which is an off-season strategy. Arizona State, he used plus 3 on Jared Lorenzen. He now has serviceable accuracy. Roberto Aguayo, he now has 77 kick power, still not all that great. And then Chet Doge, Baylor, he used a 10 IQ play, or 10 million IQ play. Go plus 2 in overall, sure, but he decided to tank up the awareness to 99. So that is a huge boost for Chet Doge. And then I gave you guys a first look of all the freshman quarterbacks and the top 10 recruits. So this is what they're looking like. Colt McCoy, Joe Webb, Terrell Pryor, D. Dowis, all those guys are starting except Zach Maynard, who is redshirted. Top 10 players, Braylon Burnside starting, Ja'Cory Williams is starting, Ndamukong Suh is starting, Roy Kent is starting, Calvin Johnson is buried on the depth chart, Michael Orr is starting, JJ Justice, another top 10 guy for Kansas, more SFA players. He is going to start at number 2 corner and number 4 wide receiver. And then Dwayne Johnson is starting, and Tavion Galloway is buried on the depth chart. If you guys do want to see the full rosters, I just put out a 3-hour long video that goes through every single team, every single position, and every single player, and shows their overalls and their years, names, and everything. So if you want to check out specific teams or specific players, there is full timestamps in the description of all 126 teams. All you do is go to the description and click on that time, and it'll jump to that spot in the video for you. That one is always a grueling process, but I think it's a very important process for sure. Finally, I want to go through some Season 10 kind of Discord recruiting updates. So this is the generational talent update. It looks like we're going to get the generational talent in Season 12 or Season 13, depending on how users use their budgets. Right now, if the talent was met today, Florida State, that 90 plus overall recruit, would be dropped into the Florida talent pool. So keep an eye on that. Here are the budgets for Season 10 of all of our current users currently. I dropped a new guide, and then we've already have week 1 live because we are starting that process. And then I want to get you guys introduced to the in-game recruits that we will be tracking this season. These are all user suggestions throughout the off season. So you got Ashawn Storm, Amarra Leuha, Nicholas Oakley, Nathaniel Bandit, Taylor Sockrider, William Dozier, JT Redwine, Chad Blunt, Caleb Broussard, LaWayne Streveler, Rylan Magnuson, Isaiah Showalter, Terrell Remmers, Seth Chung, Dick Weed, Kobe Beef, Brody Byron, Charlie Heaton, RJ Ware, Rafi Springs, James Draws, Perry Sly, Robbie Carmichael, and Ricky Tiso. So we're going to follow these teams throughout the season, kind of see where they go. And then finally, week 1 is here. I want to show you guys the game previews for the week. We only have 13 games in week 1. User versus user here, here, here. So 4 user versus user games. LSU at Georgia Tech. A lot of times week 1 is SEC games. This is a Big 12 matchup. That's going to be nice. And then the game of the week, we talked about them a lot in this video, but Kansas and Tennessee are going to be on game day for week 1. So we're going to see Kyle White in his first time. He's been in 4 uniforms, but he's never played. So he'll play for Kansas for the first time. And it's actually Eddie Dove transferring away from Tennessee and playing against them in his first game in a Jayhawk uniform. So that's going to be really exciting. Game day is going to be on Monday. I don't know what date that is. I believe that is the 5th at 4 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time. So watch out for that. If you have any questions about what happened in the offseason, or what you'd like to see in the off seasons, let me know down below. Feel free to join the Discord in the description, coach a team, or you guys can keep cheering along on YouTube if you'd like. But yeah, this is the SFA, and I'm very excited for Season 10. It's going to be a banger. Thank you guys all for watching.